Hello, everyone. Welcome to OZ Voices. I'm Anna Kopperud with ozvoices.com, where we speak on all things opportunity zones, whether it's rural, urban, suburban, or industrial. We're very happy to have you here with us today. Today, we are thrilled to have Matt Atwood as a guest. We're going to talk about his fund and the work that they do all across the country. We're excited to see about their growth and the plans that they have for the future. Matt, please, we would love an introduction.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matt Atwood. I'm the president and founder of Lone Star Life Sciences, and we are working on our first opportunity zone right now in the Caldwell County, just south of Austin, Texas.
And tell us about the work that you're doing in opportunity zones. What is it that we need to know as we get started?
Well, most opportunity zones, as you know, are mostly real estate related. Ours is on the life sciences relation. So what we're doing in life sciences is we're building our first initial project is going to be growing hops in the state of Texas, which right now hops is only grown in the Pacific Northwest because it's too hot and too dry to do it in Texas. So even though Texas is the third largest beer producer, they still have to get all their hops from the Pacific Northwest or from Germany. So growing hops inside a greenhouse all year round is a significant difference from what they would have to do by buying it dried and packed and shipped over to them.
And why would investors be drawn to this area of investment?
Well, for one thing, an opportunity zone is a great investment just for investment sake alone. But when you're looking at what we're doing, we are literally growing 10,500 plants per acre versus 750 plants per acre outdoors. So you're looking at a huge difference, and we can do that 4 times a year. So you're looking at, close to 40,000 plants per acre per year instead of 800. So the yield that we can get out of 1 acre by using 10% of the water and a fraction of the energy that's used in an outdoor grow, Mother Nature right now is not happy with the West Coast. I mean, everything on the West Coast is on fire, all the way from California all the way up to British Columbia. And when you stress out plants, they give really bad, they go into survival mode rather than fruit producing or flower producing mode. And when that happens, you get a real inconsistent product. So as far as an investor goes, there's a hop shortage right now. So we can service a market, open up an opportunity zone in Texas, utilize investment from investors as an opportunity zone investment, and still be able to yield a significant amount of more hops in the Texas market just by growing it indoors.
Pretty remarkable. I looked at the fund video that you had that discussed your work. I thought it was very good. I enjoyed looking at the levels of expertise and the different experts that you had brought in from around the country at a university level, as an example. How did you find those individuals to work with, and what did they bring to the table?
Well, actually, we're now branching out internationally. It's not just Texas and Texas A&M, but obviously Lone Star. Everybody thinks of Lone Star State, but the way we're looking at it is we're more of a Lone Star company. Nobody's doing what we're doing, and nobody's ever done it for some reason. And the way we started out was we started looking at Colorado State that was growing hops indoors. And we started there. We brought in Texas A&M and Daniel Escobar, who's one of the professors there who grew up on a hops farm in Argentina. So he was already really excited about our project and bringing that to Texas. But when we got really good was when COVID hit. Everything we had to scrap everything and start over. And when we did, we met with a CEO of a company called Octaform. Dave Richardson had introduced me to another CEO of BW Global, which builds the most advanced greenhouses in the world. And they're out of British Columbia, and they deal with snow and ice, and they still grow plants in snow and ice, and they can thermoregulate. So we've got BW Global now. We've got another company called Cultivated that's also out of Canada. And now we're getting a company called Oro Agra, which services 90 different countries in the agricultural world are now looking at us as investment. So not only are we doing hops, but we're also making a huge impact on food security. As you know, climate change is becoming an issue. And we had a huge drop in actual acres of food produced last year just because you either have droughts or you have floods, and Mother Nature's not easy to work with anymore, and now it's starting to impact our food source while our population is still growing. So we're supposed to have another 70% increase in food production over the next 30 years, and doing it the way we're doing it now, it's not ever going to reach that market. So we have to start looking at innovative ways to start producing more with less. And so using our hops as a prototype for what we can do for global warming, climate change, food security, just by using hops as an example, opens up the next round of opportunity in an opportunity zone to be able to extend what our original project for hops is into the vertical food market, into the aquaculture market, into the power, clean power market, because typically greenhouses take a lot of power. So you've got to be innovative in the power arena as well. And all of that rolls back to carbon credits, which is a huge up and coming market as well. So all of our stuff has not just one impact for hops, but it's got an impact for global warming. It's got an impact for medicine. It's got an impact for food and nutrition, and the future of food security.
Oh, that's very, very, very interesting. I have 10 more questions just on that alone. The most important, perhaps, being that positive impact piece. I don't even know how you wrap all of that together, but if we were to talk about positive impact in opportunity zones, there are the benefits of the work you're doing, and then how does a zone receive that? What impact?
Well, okay, so looking just at the impact, that funding a project like ours in the life sciences arena, I mean, it's a broad spectrum thing. You've got power, you've got climate change, you've got food sourcing, you've got indoor vertical farming, you've got all these different things that impact the market. But when you just focus on hops, not only does it just target the beer market, but it also targets the healthcare market. And not only does it, and I'll explain the healthcare market in a second, but when it also builds out a, because our facility that we're targeting in the Caldwell County area near Lockhart is actually a rural community. So we can bring with our project to the rural community real high-paying jobs. And when people get involved with something like ours, they feel like they're not only just having a career, they're not only just participating in our project, but they're also helping the world at the same time. So investors, can look at investing in a project like ours that has meaning. And then you bring in local community for hiring that has meaning. And then you look at our project, which, we're doing some extremely innovative stuff that's not being done anywhere in the United States. We're trying to catch up with Canada. That's why we started to bring a lot of Canadian companies in. But it also helps Texas in general. We're working with the Texas Department of Agriculture right now. We just got a comment. We're preparing a press release next week with Sid Miller from the Texas Department of Agriculture, the Texas Ag Commissioner, supporting our project and endorsing not only our project for agriculture for Texas, but also for the opportunity zone in that rural community. So it's a win-win-win for everybody. And using this technique of our funding in an opportunity zone fund with our project in an opportunity zone is just a new innovative way to do the financing of the project that we think makes a lot of significant difference in not only the local community, but Texas and the world.
Amazing. Amazing. I love it. Your background and the background of your fund, how did this all come together to overlay in this? And please.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'll try and make this really quick. That's a loaded question because I started off in medical manufacturing and medical distribution. And I got really frustrated with healthcare in the United States. It's a for-profit healthcare system. So it's all about the money. It's not about the patient. And that's what really got me frustrated, because now you're looking at the opioid epidemic becoming an issue, 130 people dying a day from opioid overdose. And, it's the most, the biggest gateway drug you have right now are written prescriptions. And so now everybody's starting to look at more of a natural solution. And believe it or not, coming from that market and going into this piece, I started looking into the cannabis business. But of course, in Texas, you can't do anything with cannabis either, because it's still, I mean, every state around Texas is legal except Texas. So that was one of the solutions we were trying to fix. But when we started looking at the technology of being able to grow cannabis in Colorado with LED technology and hydroponic technology, we got really good at doing that. And then when we came back to Texas and we couldn't do anything in the cannabis arena, one of my friends, who was actually one of the investors of our original project in Colorado, said, "Hey, can you do the same thing with hops?" And honestly, I didn't even know what hops was, so I had to look it up. But what we found was that there was a hop shortage. The market, the craft beer market, if you go into your grocery store now and take a look at the beer aisle, what used to be Coors, Bud, Miller, Budweiser, all of this stuff in that aisle used to take up the entire aisle. Well, now look at it. I mean, it's a very small section of the aisle, and it's all local craft beer now. So the craft beer market doubles every 4 years. And it takes 3 years for an outdoor plant to get to maturity for a hops plant. So by the time the hops is actually ready to harvest, the market's almost doubled already again. So that's what's causing a hop shortage. Well, because there's a hop shortage in the beer market, there's no access to xanthahumol, which is the compound in the hops flower that you can extract. And the only place you can get xanthahumol right now is out of Germany. And it's $26,000 for a liter. So imagine something that's like this big is $26,000. And what it can do is it kills 60 different cancers, has a 41% drop in insulin requirements for diabetics, has a 80% drop in LDL, which is, heart disease, has a 78% drop in interleukin 6, which is an inflammatory marker for pain and autoimmune disorder. So you're looking at heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and autoimmune disorders. Those right there are the top 4 lifestyle diseases in the United States, and we have access to a natural product that is not made in the United States, and you can only get it from Germany. So my background in medical manufacturing and medical distribution, when I found that there was a hop shortage, I tripped over it by accident because I read an article that said in Men's Health magazine, "Lose weight drinking beer." I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I started opening up the research on xanthahumol, and hops is actually in the cannabis family. And but it has no clinical restriction. It has no licensing requirements. It has no psychoactive effect like cannabis is known for. So I was like, oh my God, I found the goose with the golden egg. But the problem is nobody can find the damn goose. So in the United States, so we started looking at it, and we found an LED grow in Colorado State. We flew out to meet Bill Bowerly, Professor Bowerly at Colorado State. We brought the Texas A&M professor with us and actually filmed our investor video in the Colorado State grow for hops. Then we started really saying, okay, if they're doing it and they're successful like this, let's take the next step of technology for full spectrum and be able to apply it this way. And then bring in international experts for greenhouse technology and management and protocols. And I am actually in Tulsa right now talking to electrical engineers on developing all of an entire automated process for hops, where literally you put in a computer and the monitors will tell you exactly what you need to do all day long. So being able to grow hops for beer is a no-brainer, right? But being able to apply this to healthcare and being able to supply something that is not only a natural product, it has zero side effects. There's no toxicity to it, and there's no psychoactive effects to it, and nobody can get access to it. So we have an extremely underserved market. It's an extremely expensive product that we would be able to make on a massive scale because we can do 40,000 plants an acre a year, not 800. So we solve 2 different problems, one for the agricultural piece for beer, but also for access for xanthahumol. And we've already talked to MD Anderson. We've already talked to multiple clinical research facilities for medical schools. They all want access to xanthahumol because they can't get access to THC in Texas because the cannabis laws still haven't legalized.
we should visit again on this show and talk more about that if you are
Sure.
willing and able, because there were so many different verticals we could have gone down with that. I certainly wanted
Yeah.
to. I think for today, bundling that all up together, that final thought on positive impact, using opportunity zones, the project that you have, let's get some final thoughts on that, and then we can pick this up another time. Please go ahead.
Final thoughts on the Opportunity Zone Fund. I'm a Texan. We all think about Texas. I mean, that's the reason why we named it Lone Star. We want to be able to serve the local community. There's no reason, if we have this funding mechanism and we have the land that's in a rural facility, there's absolutely no reason why we can't be the shining star of not only Texas, but the model and set the standard of how you do responsible big agriculture from here forward. Big agriculture is one of the largest causes for global warming. And we're polluting our planet by trying to put chemicals into the ground to make the dirt into soil without doing anything about it properly, but you're also affecting the world. So if we're looking at multiple things here just because of the opportunity zone of being able to support a local community, being able to support the state of Texas, being able to create the model of where agriculture is going to go over the next decade. And we can literally be the tip of the spear on this project. And now, because the Biden administration and the U.S. government now is putting such a focus on climate change and changing the way, like Einstein said, okay, this is a great closing. You can't fix the problem that created the problem unless you're starting to change a different type of diversity of thinking. You can't use the same way of thinking to fix the problem that got you into the spot. And so what we're trying to do is change everything and looking at it going, what if and why not? Those are the first two things of any innovative creator is, what if we were to do this and say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, why not? That's just the way I'm built. That's the way I'm made. And we can affect everybody in the state just by pushing this project through and creating brand new jobs and setting the standard for the rest of the United States.
That is very exciting. And as you have those moments where you feel things are shifting in that positive way, we would love to have you back, and we can break that down development by development. There's so many elements there, looking at the cannabis piece, the looking at the global component, the contribution nationwide, Texas, the local community piece. You touched the whole thing.
It checks every box.
So much in that.
It
Go
checks
ahead.
every box.
It's
when you're looking as an investor into a project, you're okay. Is it profitable? Yeah, it's profitable. We can blow away the numbers from a normal hops farm because the market is there. Is it profitable to be able to disrupt a pharmaceutical market with a natural product? Yeah, it's a disruptor. Is the innovation that we're going to be doing on creating our grow facilities indoors with automated technology of controlling an environment while climate change is messing up everything else? Yeah, no brainer. I mean, everything checks the boxes on our project, and we're so happy to be on the show and share this with you.
Cannot wait for future conversations. It'll be interesting to me. What's the next one to come? What's the first piece? I mean, things are already moving so quickly, I know, from your side. But that first big milestone that is the next topic that we drill into, I can't wait to see what that is. We'll all be on a cliffhanger until then. In the meantime, I'd like to thank Matt for his time today, Mr. Matt Atwood. We'll see them again when we're ready. And everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. We will see you next time.